Welcome to the home of the Cynthia Sears Artist Books collection. There are many skills that go into making artist books, and handmade paper has to be one of the most challenging. The collection contains many artist books that feature handmade paper. The handmade paper is not just substrate to the printmaking or text, but married to the content in such a way that the book could not be imagined without it. This piece is titled Quiescent Temple by Karen Stahlecker. It's one of 3 of her works in the collection. Stahlecker is an environmental artist who has studied papermaking all over the world. Originally from the Midwest, she lived for many years in Alaska and spent much of her time in the mountains. In 1995, Stahlecker taught papermaking in several places along the West Coast and in the Southwest. While in Seattle, she had a show at Wessel and Lieberman booksellers in Pioneer Square and gave a talk for the Book Arts Guild. I still remember attending. Her work was unforgettable. Stahlecker traveled with her papermaking equipment in the back of her truck. In between workshops, she spent her time hiking and camping in the mountains. Karen made this temple with her own handmade bast fiber and chirigami papers. Chirigami means waste paper in Japanese. The waste, or inclusions you see in the paper, come from adding back in bark and fibrous pieces that were initially cleaned off the plant material to create the cleaned bast fiber pulp. The waste is added for visual interest, but also in the spirit of using everything, a frugality Stahlecker witnessed when she was studying in Japan. She calls collecting interesting natural materials a bad habit, but as she began constructing her artist books from Bristol board and handmade paper, these bits of nature were planted inside, creating visual themes based on various ecosystems where she collected her materials. Stahlecker calls her artist books shrines, temples, and altars. You can see why. Holding this book, I can't help but be transported to the places in nature I love so much. Spiritland is the title of this artist book featuring handmade paper. It was collaboratively created and produced by John Risseeuw of Cabbage Head Press and Margaret Prentice for a paper-making collaboration symposium in 1996 called Art of the Matter. John Risseeuw lives in Arizona. He is Professor Emeritus from Arizona State University. His work highlights social justice and environmental issues. Risseeuw has been involved in book arts since 1967. Margaret Prentice lives in Oregon. She is Professor Emeritus from the University of Oregon. She's taught drawing, papermaking, and printmaking techniques for many years. For Spiritland, Prentice and Risseeuw made paper in their separate studios using local plants. Arizona plants include Joshua tree, agave, yucca, desert spoon, honey mesquite pods, purple sage flowers, and many others. Oregon plants include cattails, seagrass, flax, hemp, fir tree needles, and more. The wrapper was made by Risseeuw with a blend of plants from Arizona and Oregon, plus soil and crushed shells. The texts are hand-set and letterpress printed in colors that match the landscape. Prentice made the multi-block reduction woodcuts and printed them on an etching press, illustrating in vibrant colors ecosystems of Arizona and Oregon. The 2 sections are sewn together with a pamphlet stitch for a gatefold presentation. Already rich in color and texture, they added more. Each section includes a list of endangered, threatened, and protected plants for that state. And a turn of the book shows a distant horizon with a poem that will lead you there. The Oregon side features a poem by Kim Stafford, one of Oregon's poet laureates. And the Arizona side, a poem by Gary Paul Nabhan, an internationally celebrated writer with a long list of awards. The writing of both these authors is largely influenced by time spent in nature. The two poems included in Spiritland honor the plants and landscapes that feed our spirits, sustain our bodies, and the other animals that live there. Everything about Spiritland speaks to all the other parts. It is made from the earth and plants that it speaks of. It is made not just by hand, but for hands, to touch and open and find the way into. It is natural to pick up this book, open it, and wonder, which way does it go? While the images are viewed as we expect from a book, the letterpress printed poems require us to turn the book as if it were a landscape to be read, not something we can hold up, but something that belongs flat, a richly textured surface we can travel across to a destination that beckons. These two works, Spiritland and Quiescent Temple, remind us how important the materiality of an artist book can be. They show how the parts of a book can be integrated from the paper to everything put on, in, or around it. More than that, these books can transport us to places we may have never traveled just by touching the page.